Hey guys, how you doing? Something that I've found, I'm always doing a lot of research on how to improve as a coach and how our brain works, how our body works, how we learn things. I'm very interested in psychology and especially the process of learning and retaining information and then extracting it, when we need it. And for the last year, I've been training a lot of kids, right? So my previous academies, it was all adults because they were in the city. And now I'm training a lot of kids. And so they had their first competition 3 weeks ago. And I noticed something dramatic is that, in my opinion, the kids outperformed the adults, hands down, right? And in a couple of key areas, right? And so immediately, and it wasn't just like one kid who was exceptional, like all of the kids were amazing, right? Not all won, like it was their first tournament. They're all very nervous, but in my opinion, they easily outperformed the adults, right? And so I was like, wow, that's quite amazing. What's going on there? Because I train the kids different than the adults, right? They've got short attention spans. They've got 45 to 1 minute, 45 to 1 hour classes instead of like 90 minutes to 2 hours. So I teach them a lot less, but in a year, we've only probably gone over like 8 techniques or something, maybe 10, right? Very few. But we have a lot of time for games and socializing and play and stuff like that to make it really fun for them. And because they get bored, I keep the repetitions of each technique at like 5, maximum like 10 reps, because they won't, once one person's done 10 reps and the other's done 10 reps, that's 20 with all the mucking around, like that's going to take forever. So, and they get bored really easily. So they do very, very few reps, very few techniques, but they do almost the same thing every single class. I sell it to them in a different way each time, right? So we might do 2 classes that are kind of similar. The order we do the techniques in might change a little bit. And the way that I introduce the techniques, like we might do a throw into the technique. Sometimes we might do the technique first, the throw second, whatever. But I change it up a bit to keep the variety there, but the core techniques don't change very much. And they outperform the adults. So it made me really think about the differences in training the two and the way that we learn. Because the traditional model is lots and lots of reps, stay on a technique for, I don't know, a week. Yeah. So if I've got 3 techniques or 4 techniques, we stay on them for like a month and drill them and drill them and drill them and drill them. Whereas the kids are not like that at all, right? So, for example, at the start of every single class, we'll do bridge and roll because I think it's like the most important escape in jiu-jitsu. So every single class starts with bridge and roll, and so they all get really amazing at it. But they only do 5 reps. So it got me thinking, and I'm on this big international sports science group, and so I posed it to the group because there's a lot of like super high level world class coaches out there in a lot of different sports, and guys who have written hundreds of papers, PhDs in exercise science and all sorts of stuff, right? So I posed it to them and I just said, hey, look, this happened. Like, what do you think is better then? Is it better to spend a day doing 100 techniques and then not do it for a month? Or is it better to do like 5 reps 3 times a week for a month? Like at the end of that month, so in 5 weeks' time, and I use the example when I've been talking to people the last week about this, like if we're teaching somebody to block a punch, for example, and we did 100 reps in a row in one day, and then in 5 weeks, some random person went to swing at them, would they react? Versus someone who 3 times a week did 5 reps of the same thing. So the last time that they experienced it would have been maybe the day before or the week before. And I think the latter proves out, right? Because the technique is in the forefront of your brain. You only did it like 2 days ago. And so when someone does it to you, you react. So the question that I posed to the group was, is frequency more important than intensity in terms of reps? Anyway, so it was a very interesting discussion. And then one of the top guys on the page, I can't remember his name, but he's a PhD in bloody blah, whatever. And he said, that's a great question. I've got a friend who specializes in that kind of area at the university. I'm going to have a word to him. Anyway, he gets back to me. Apparently there was a Japanese study done. And I don't know what they did it with. It might have been karate, it might have been judo, it might not have even been a martial art. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was something like that, judo or karate. And they give them two Japanese names because of the two different ways of learning. Anyway, they did an experiment. I'm not quite sure how, I just briefly read his description, right? And so, yes, frequency wins out, yeah, by a long shot. So they obviously got two groups, trained one way, trained one the other way. At the end of the period, tested both of them, and the performance of the group doing the more frequent but only a few reps were higher performers. So it's very, very interesting. And so now I'm going to start training my adults the same way and see what bears out. Yeah. I mean, not a lot of the adults compete and not a lot of the kids compete, to be honest, too. But it'll be interesting. And so the last week since I stumbled across this, I have started training the adults differently. So we do a lot more techniques, a greater variety of techniques in the same class, but we only do like 5 reps or 10 reps. For the adults, 10 reps is pretty easy because, you know, like they're better coordinated and they don't play around so much. And so they can get on with it and get the 10 reps done. Okay, everyone done that? Great, next technique. And so that way we can go over, like, almost choreograph an entire fight and go through all the major positions in one 45-minute session to 45 to an hour session. And then that allows them like half an hour, 40 minutes rolling time if they want. So pretty interesting. Yeah, give us your feedback, see what you think. And if you teach, then maybe like that might be something that you look into, because it's after teaching jiu-jitsu for 25 years and doing martial arts for like 50, like this is really interesting to me as a coach. I'm always looking for new ways to improve my teaching. I'm always looking for new ways to improve my students and want to find the best delivery method for the skills that I have. So yeah, pretty amazing stuff. Anyway, thought you might be interested in it. Let me know how you go. Cheers guys, bye.